The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Onyx Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code SGPN to get 50% deposit bonus up to $1K. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. So we're crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get a 7-day free trial today. We're going to sportsgambling.com, which is RITHMM. And welcome, everybody, to the Tennis Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is currently Saturday night, roughly 11 p.m. Eastern Time on November 16th. I'm your host, always, Scott Reichel, once again going solo for this pod. Only one match preview for this episode because it is time to get into the final in the ATP Finals. We're going to get into the matchup between Sinner and Fritz, Part 2, taking place on Sunday at around noon Eastern. We're going to get into that matchup in a second. Before that, though, do want to take care of some housekeeping. I want to remind you once again that you can show support for the show by liking, subscribing on YouTube. And a reminder, you can also leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple. So if you're listening to the podcast, either audio only on those two platforms, or you're listening through the live stream, through the video afterwards, or even on Twitter in the simulcast on YouTube, once again, you can show support by leaving a like and a subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notifications as well to get the updates on when we're going to have new episodes. Plus, a reminder, check out the merch store on the SGPN website. We have a lot of great Tennis Gambling Podcast merch with sweatshirts, t-shirts, and mugs, different colors, different options, all affordable. So I recommend getting yourself something on the merch store. Plus, a reminder, for the actual network, if you are looking to actually join the app, we have an app for SGPN. Because if you've not downloaded the app, you're missing out. You can get, once again, access to all the podcasts on the network and the picks page in one convenient app. Plus, like all our content, the app is completely free. Type SGPN into the App Store search bar to download it today. Anyway, starting off with the actual recap of what happened in the Saturday matches here for the semis. Overall, decent episode. Didn't sweep, but did have a pretty decent day with winning the lock and losing the dog. Starting off with the lock, nice win. We had Ruud team total under 7.5 games, a -112. Never in doubt. That was an absolute murder. Sinner dropped 3 games the entire match. Said Sinner would win the entire event, not dropping a set. And so far, we have one match to go as he's won every single match in convincing fashion. Sinner, though, has been on the warpath, and you're looking at Ruud, who did have a nice win against Rublev, made it out of the group stage to the surprise of most people. But the issue was he had a 3-set marathon the day prior. Sinner had the day off, and Sinner came out and buried him as he ended up winning 6-1, 6-2. So the match was over pretty quickly. Ruud got destroyed. Nice win there for the lock. For the dog, though, picked up a loss as we had Zverev to win in straight sets at +110. Yes, I know that Fritz did well in the head-to-head against Zverev over the last couple of months, but thought Zverev found a certain gear. And I was kind of hoping that he'd be able to duplicate his performance against Alcaraz in the match on Saturday. Didn't happen. Fritz looked good. Won the first set that eventually did win in a final set tiebreak. Overall, a very fun match. Final set tiebreak, so there was a lot of drama involved, but Zverev didn't even win the match. Fritz looked great, and he got the job done. So once again, it appears that Zverev's kryptonite is Fritz at the moment, and Fritz got the job done, and he'll be looking to win an ATP title, or I should say the ATP final title, for the first time in his career. Sinner, though, is also looking for his first ever ATP Tour Finals title. Did lose in the final last year to Djokovic, so a bit of potential, I'd say, revenge for the actual matchup here in this one. But either way, point is Sinner ended up dominating. You saw Zverev lose outright. Fun match there. Nothing that was really, I'd say, too shocking per se. I thought Zverev would win, but at the end of the day, it was a very competitive matchup, and you saw Zverev fall just a bit short, losing in the final set breaker. But he had a couple chances, did have a couple of break points, had advantage on 2 separate opportunities for breaks in the 5-5 game. Did not convert, though, and then, of course, lost the match anyway. For the actual recap, though, of the matches, once again, Fritz served very well. Said that if he was going to pull off the upset, he'd have to serve very well, and he did. Ended up winning about 83% of the first serve points, and he ended up landing 73% of his first serves. So it was really just a story of him hitting every spot he needed to. Fritz only won 36% of his second serve points. So I did think that Fritz needed to have a monster serving game if he wanted any chance to actually win this match, and he did, because if he was around 70% instead of 73%, he probably loses that matchup. But either way, Fritz served well when he needed to, and that helped propel him to the first set win, as he won 95% of his first serve points in the first set. Zverev, I thought, played fine, but once again, when Fritz serves that well, he's tough to beat, and we'll see if he can serve that well again against Sinner here on a Sunday. As for the Sinner match, once again, complete one-way traffic. Sinner did not get broken. Ruud got broken 4 times. You're looking at Ruud winning 64% of the first serve points and just 24% of the second serve points. So a second serve was basically handing away free points to Sinner for the entire match. 6-1, 6-2 in about an hour and 9 minutes. Just an absolute bloodbath, and Sinner got the job done as he won once again in straight sets. So Sinner if you're keeping track at home, to go through his recent hot streak there in the hardcourt swing, he has officially now won 28 of his last 29 matches. He's won every match here in straight sets. He's won 9 of his last 11 matches in straight sets. So he has been rolling, and we'll see if he can close it out here in his home country, in Italy, against Fritz on Sunday. Now, before we get into the actual preview of that matchup between Fritz and Sinner, I want to remind you once again that we are brought to you by MyBookie, because MyBookie is the new sponsor of SGPN, but it's the same as the old sponsor, because SGPN was initially with MyBookie back in the day, and now they're back together. Reminder, though, check out the new and improved website, great on your actual phone, plus props for every game, and the live dealer casino, even new cash out props or cash out options for you. A reminder, head to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Just finished recapping what happened on Saturday. Time to move on to the Sunday matchup between Fritz and Sinner, Part 2. A reminder, faced off in the group stage, and Sinner won 6-4, 6-4. Match was close, though, but Fritz, at the end of the day, just didn't generate enough breakpoint chances, and Sinner converted his. So either way, Sinner got the job done, 6-4, 6-4. Now, for the actual rematch that we're going to end up seeing, Sinner is a massive favorite, roughly minus 660. As for Fritz, he's around plus 480. For the actual spread here, -4 for Sinner at -120, +4 for Fritz. The over-under in games is set at around 21.5. With the over being -120, the under is even money. For the set spread, Sinner in straight sets is around -225. Fritz to win ace sets +185, and the over 2.5 sets is around +260. Now, for the matchup, once again, Sinner has been coasting. He has not dropped more than 4 games in a set in any single set in this event. So once again, it's 8-0 in sets. Every set's been by at least 2 games. So he has been coasting, and we'll see if he can duplicate that performance against Ruud in the Sunday matchup. Now, Fritz is in a kind of similar boat to what Ruud was in yesterday, or I should say Ruud was in on Saturday, because he had a marathon match the day prior, where Sinner had a day off. Now, not so much this case, but the point is Sinner basically had a day off, dropped 3 games in the entire match. But Fritz had I'd say an emotional win against Zverev. He's now number 4 in the world, and he was able to outlast him in a 2.5-hour marathon there, where Sinner's match basically was an hour. So kind of similar to Ruud in the match on Saturday. I wonder if Fritz will be emotionally spent or physically spent for this rematch against Sinner. Now, you're looking at a rematch of the U.S. Open final as well as the group stage matchup, and Sinner won all those in straight sets. Point is, though, do I think Fritz is going to win? No. So I'm not going to give you a case for a long shot money line price. Not going to bother. Think Sinner's going to win after losing last year in the final, and after winning, once again, 28 of his last 29 matches. Don't really give Fritz much of a chance of winning unless he serves like 70+% while winning 80+% of the first serve points. Don't see that happening. I think Fritz will serve worse. I think Sinner will do a better job of actually pressuring, I'd say, Fritz's first serves instead of what Zverev was doing, which was kind of getting destroyed by Fritz's first serve in general. But you're looking at the actual team totals here. I see 12.5 for Sinner, and I see about 9.5 for Fritz. I'm not going to say it's going to be the exact same scoreline of 6-4, 6-4 as we saw in the group stage, but I see Sinner winning probably like by at least 4 games. I think Sinner might have a breaker in there, maybe get a 7-6, 6-4, but I think at the end of the day, Fritz is going to have a hard time breaking. Didn't break Sinner in the first matchup in this event. The speed of the courts definitely benefits Sinner. He's been dominating everybody. I mean, to read off the actual score lines here for both guys, Sinner beat Ruud 6-1, 6-2. Beat Medvedev 6-3, 6-4, beat Fritz 6-4, 6-4, and beat de Minaur 6-3, 6-4. So once again, he's been coasting. And I think that Fritz, who is off a 3-set marathon, might struggle in this actual spot. So I'm a bit concerned about his overall potential fitness, but mostly about the, I'd say, issues of actually returning against Sinner. Sinner, I do think, has the overall first serve and second serve with the consistency and the firepower to kind of back it up. Fritz, I do think, with his really underwhelming second serve win percentage against Zverev, that's the real issue for me. I think if Fritz does not serve insanely well, he's going to lose. And we saw that happen in the first matchup between them. So going through the actual stats there serving-wise for the first match in the group stage here, looking at Sinner, he ended up landing about 57% of his first serve, so not even a high percentage, but he won 82% of them, and he also won 71% of the second serve points. Fritz, though, ended up landing 59% of the first serves, won 79% of the first serve points. It's still solid numbers, but only won 38% of the second serve points. That's the issue. I think Fritz has to land at least 65% first serve, and if he doesn't, he's going to lose pretty comfortably. So I'm going to go with Sinner. I'll dare Fritz to once again serve out of his mind. Don't see that happening. I think that Sinner once again looks sharp. With Sinner not even serving well with his first serve in that group stage match, he's still dominated because he was able to outlast Fritz in all the rallies. And when you win 71% of your second serve points, I like your chances. It tells me that Fritz probably doesn't break in this matchup. It tells me Sinner should be holding pretty easily. I think Sinner gets the job done probably close to the scoreline we saw in the group stage meeting. I'll go with, once again, maybe a 7-6, 6-3, 6-3, 6-4, something like that. But I'm not picking Sinner to lose. I think he'll win this one in relatively convincing fashion. That's how I'm looking at it. Besides that, though, that's going to wrap it up for the actual, preview of the final on Sunday. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. But before we get to that, though, wanted to remind you once again, they're brought to you once again by Nordic Fantasy because they have all your items in their pick menu. They have the NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and more. You could also use your specials and boost on Influx entries for the upcoming Sunday card, actually. I'm going to go with Drake May, higher half interception in his upcoming matchup on Sunday. I think it's a pretty low number. Rams are doing a pretty good job of intercepting quarterbacks. They pressure the quarterback, and May has thrown some picks recently. I think Drake's number is too low, so I am going to go with the higher on Drake May interception for this game on a Sunday for my entry. A reminder, though, when you do sign up for a new account, use the promo code SGPN to claim a special gift for first-time boss offer up to 1K. Bonus cash on fancy promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. A reminder that Rhythm does give you the ability to build custom sports betting models, which can help you with your overall betting. A reminder, they can give you predictions on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. You can also build the model. You can copy one from the leaderboard or have Rhythm build one for you in seconds. Track props from the Rhythm app. A reminder, you can also use it for NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, and the NBA. Rhythm has it all. And a reminder, try it out for free for a week, 7 day free trial by going to sports.com Rhythm, sports.com, RATHMM. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Just finished previewing the Sunday final between Fritz and Sinner. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. For the actual plays, going to go with some team totals here. For the lock, I'm going to go with Fritz, team total under 9.5 at -117. This was on Bet Rivers. Now, this line is too high for me. Sinner's won 28 of his last 29 matches. He's won 9 of his last 11 matches in straight sets. He also has dominated this overall tournament as all 4 of his opponents have gone under this team total. In fact, Fritz did lose 6-4, 6-4 in the group stage. So we've seen Fritz go under this number before. He's off a 3-set marathon against Zverev, mostly daring an opponent to actually do well, or I should say respectably well, against Sinner. I think that this line is way too big. I think that Fritz can serve well, even a breaker. If you get 7-6 here, if Sinner serves first in a set, you get there with a potential break early and a 6-3. But I don't see Fritz breaking. I think that Sinner will once again look sharp in the overall return game. I think he'll be all over Fritz's second serves, which have been a bit of a weakness for him in the event. But when you've been that dominant, dropping less than 5 games in every set of the event, I'll dare you to once again get to basically 10 in this matchup. I don't see it happening. I think Sinner wins close to 6-4, 6-4, give or take again. But give me the Fritz team total under. I'll dare a Sinner opponent to go over this team total before I actually, once again, avoid betting the under. So I am going to go with the under as my lock. For my dog, I am going to go with a risky play, but I do like the price, and it cashed in the group stage meeting between the two of them. Give me Sinner team total under 12.5 games at +140. Now, most books had around +110. I saw +115 offshore. Bet Rivers at +140. +140 is insane because Sinner's gone under this team total in 6 straight matches. I should say in 4 straight matches in this event. So he has been dominating. And when you're looking at this level of competition, he's beating good guys, good servers, and not. So I'm not exactly concerned about Fritz, let's say, stepping up in the spot. He might. But Sinner, we saw win the first 2 sets easily in the U.S. Open. Saw him win the first 2 sets easily in this event in the group stage. Think Fritz is going to be in trouble here. And I think that even though it might result in a breaker or a 7-5 and you lose this prop, I think you're looking at a simple spot where Sinner has won all 5 sets against Fritz this season. Fritz is off a marathon where fatigue could be an issue. And you're looking at Sinner once again going under this number in all 4 meetings in all 4 matches of this event. But 12.5 at +140 for a guy that once again is cashing in every match here, I think it's a great price. I got to go for value. +140 is way too big. If it's +110, I get it. But 140, I feel like is definitely worth it. Give me Fritz to lose 6-4, 6-3, give or take, and that way you cash both these plays easily. If Sinner does lose in straight sets, in theory, the very unlikely chance that happens, you win automatically as well if you want to go for the miracle draw. But 12.5 does feel like a good price at plus 140. I'll go with that as my dog. So once again, my plays for the final here in the ATP Final title match in Turin. The lock's going to be on Fritz, team total under 9.5 at minus 117. For the dog, give me Sinner, team total under 12.5 at plus 140. Now that's going to wrap it up for this actual event and for the show for basically the year. Now, we do have a couple of episodes left, but I want to give you all an update for the schedule moving forward. We have, of course, the next-gen finals taking place in about a month, which is pretty random because usually we have the next-gen finals right after this one, and it kind of segues into it. However, that's not happening because they're going to kind of leave some room for the actual Davis Cup finals, so we're going to be focusing on that, not on this show, but in terms of tennis. But for the sake of the next-gen finals, we are going to cover that event, but it's in about a month. Starts in December, so we are not going to have an episode for about a month. Maybe we'll do something for the women's event, but I haven't seen many lines on it, so I can't really give out anything for it. Point is, though, going to basically be dark on this channel for about a month, and we'll be back once again for the next-gen finals in about, once again, 30 days or so. But a reminder, until then, you can find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio, find me on the NBA show. You can find me on the NBA show as well, and the, once again, MLB show if we do some off-season episodes. But a reminder, you can show support for the show by liking and subscribing on YouTube, and a reminder, you can also leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple. And until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.